Hey guys, welcome to SharePlay. This is a new discussion series that me and Mark are doing. Say hi.
Hello.
And yeah, I guess, podcasts just kind of weren't really working out for me. I could go into why they weren't. As much as I did really enjoy doing Spyrocast, it just got a little too stressful for me, so we're doing this instead. And I don't really want to call this a podcast. It's more of a discussion series.
Yes.
So, yeah. And, so what is our topic today?
I'm glad you asked. Today, we're going to be talking about video game movies and movie video games.
Yep. As the title says, game movies and licensed games.
So I'm looking right here for our first lead-in topic, but before I actually get into it, I found it really funny how I'm watching this ad here, and it's talking about WWE 2K21. It got canceled. There's some really funny glitches in the last game. That's what made me laugh earlier. But that was an ad on the page I'm looking at the info here for. The Legend of Spyro 3D, which was supposed to be a Spyro movie based off the Legend reboot, and that was supposed to be made way back in 2010, so literally a decade ago when it got canceled.
Yep. Oh my god. I can't believe it's been that long. I remember seeing things about that. I thought it was going to come out. I thought it was going to be a thing.
I was hyped because since the Legend reboot was big around that time, it had ended in, what was it, 08 or 09? I think it was 08.
08. I think that's when Dawn of the Dragon came out.
And so this was a couple of years in the making, I believe. It was under the writers of... It was either the writers or just the same team as those who worked on, I think it was Aragon?
Aragon, yeah, that was it.
But people said that movie didn't do too good. And so this probably would have been a really weird film had it come out.
Yeah, I never saw Aragon, so I can't really say much. I don't think the effects look bad. I think, what was the dragon's name? Saphira? I think she looked pretty cool. But apparently it wasn't very good.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it. I only saw, the trailers and such. But for Spyro, it was going to follow the plot of the games very closely. It seems like it anyway. I'm reading it off here. It follows Spyro, Dragon of Prophecy, a rare purple dragon, the Forces of the Dark Master, the Nidus was going to be in it. So yeah, I'm wondering, since Legend had all these celebrities voice the cast, if they probably would have stuck with them for the movie. Who do you think would have voiced Sparks?
That's a tough one. Cause like Carmelita, his voice always changes. The hard thing about coming up with who could have voiced Sparks is the tough thing about thinking about that is none of his voices ever really made sense to begin with. So I'm like, I can't really, because I'm like, why should Sparks even have a voice? It's kind of one of those things that I'm always thinking, he shouldn't have a voice to begin with, so I can't really think of anyone who could have played him.
I wonder why they didn't just keep it Andre Sogliuzzo, because he did get to fully voice Sparks in Hero's Tale, and he sounded okay. Maybe a little bit too nasally, but not necessarily an annoying kind of voice. But because they cast David Spade for the first Legend for A New Beginning, the whole tone of Sparks' character just shifted to meet the kind of characters that David Spade plays, which are these really arrogant asshole types. So if you look at any of his live action roles or previous voice roles, like Cusco, from
it was just David Spade the Dragonfly.
Pretty much. And so Billy West tried his best to retain that in Eternal Night, and Wayne Brady kind of had it in Dawn of the Dragon, but it was still really weird to hear such a drastically different tone even in that game. But it was fun how they poked fun at it. I'll only say this though because I don't know who would even want of the three of them to like return to that kind of a role. I mean, the closest would probably be David Spade, just because he was the first one for Legend. But I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I guess because I like Dawn of the Dragon the most, Wayne Brady is probably my favorite Sparks, but it's just because I like that game of the whole trilogy like the best. So it's just like, oh, that's the one that stuck with me.
It's really funny too because going back and listening to all of Cinder's voices from the games, like even she changes voice actresses, but like
Yeah, that's true.
they're still relatively consistent enough that they don't even point it out in universe as a joke, but they do for Sparks, just because, and not just because he's the comedic relief, but because every voice was just so different from the previous.
Yeah. It's weird how I always think, well, I mean, this may just be me not liking the Eternal Night, but because I always felt like the like the voices for Sparks and Cinder for the Eternal Night were the weakest of the group. Like the voices they chose for them. Like, not that Billy West and Mae Whitman aren't amazing voice actors, but they were the most like forgettable of the other ones that they chose, I think.
That makes sense. Going back to the movie though, I'm reading here. Apparently, it was canceled before. I think. Let me see. It was delayed. It was supposed to come out in Christmas of '09, but it got delayed, and then it had a release date of April 10th, 2010. Then one of the writers confirmed it was canceled. That was because Activision wanted to go, a different direction with Spyro, and that became Skylanders. So
Yeah.
Skylanders just kind of ruined a lot of those projects. Not, well, ruined is a harsh word. Like, it shut down a lot of those and made irrelevant a lot of those projects that were going to come out. Like,
Yeah.
Spyro's Kingdom was a whole different thing, and then this movie was going to happen, but then they were like, yeah, we're done with the reboot now. We're going to just do a whole new thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you look at Spyro's Kingdom, it was like, oh, we want it to be dark and gritty. I was like, I don't want this, like, I don't want my Spyro to be dark and gritty, like,
Like, even for as dark and gritty as the reboot went, it's still, like... I like to think it still retains this kind of, like, whimsy to it. But
Yeah.
I think this was, from what I remember talking to you about regarding Spyro's Kingdom, it was going to go way darker. Like, it was going to be mature, for the most part.
Yeah. Wouldn't have been Spyro, though.
But the movie, I feel, no matter how it would have been written or come out in the end, I still feel like it would have hopefully kept the essence of, like, that era of Spyro. Because seeing as it was going to be CGI, there's only one, like, promo image for it, which, I mean, mind you, is either taken directly from or at least heavily, heavily inspired by one of Dawn of the Dragon's like promo arts of like him and Cinder like on a cliffside.
Yes, that's right.
So this basically borrows like right from that. But how do you think that would have turned out? Because I have a feeling a lot of people were saying like, because I remember voicing my opinions on Twitter a long time ago, being like, oh, I would have really liked to see this movie happen. And then people were like, you probably didn't. You probably don't, though. You probably wouldn't have. Like, it wouldn't have been good. And I'm like, maybe not, but at least it would have looked like Spyro, which is like already a step in the right direction, seeing as a lot of video game movies, like a lot of video game movies don't look like that. Like, they don't keep the essence of what the games look like or feel like. Okay, let's just drop it. The first thing that comes to my mind is Ratchet and Clank. And that's what we've been talking about a lot recently.
Uh-huh.
And how, like, it keeps the voice actors, it keeps the look, it keeps the feel. It's a very colorful movie, very action-packed movie. But I personally like to think that where everyone's problems with that lied were because the movie and the game came out too close to each other.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not sure if that's the issue. I mean, definitely is not the issue that I have with it. Because, well, I mean, the issue that I have is just that I really don't like the reboot story of Ratchet and Clank in general. I thought the movie was a lot more entertaining than the game, but neither can top the original.
Because I think also they both depend on each other to tell the full story. So like, if you want to know how Clank escapes from, the factory or whatever, like, you gotta play that in the game. You only see him, gain the consciousness of where he is, look around, go, oh, I need to escape, and then he escapes. And it's like a probably 4-minute scene. And in the movie, it's a whole segment plus that cinematic, which is just, it's from the movie. So
yeah, that's right.
It sounds cool on paper, and I think I understand where they were trying to go with that concept, but I'm still trying to pick down why everyone thinks the movie is so mediocre and it's forgettable. And I'm like, I thought it was really well done. It doesn't follow any like particular beats of any other Ratchet and Clank. It doesn't follow any beats from the game. It follows the beats of the reboot, which follows the beats of the original game, but
how it doesn't follow the beats very well though. The thing is, how well versed were you in the universe of Ratchet and Clank before seeing the movie or playing the reboot?
That's the thing. I didn't know much about any of it. I had like literally finished the original first game on my PS2 like a week before the reboot even came out, and I pre-ordered it because I didn't have a PS4 at that time. I was going to play on my friend's PS4, which I did. I went up and picked it up a week, like a literal like 7 days after I'd finished the original game. I played the reboot, and so I had already figured, since they were like kind of promoting it as such, that it was going to be like a reimagining of the first game, and it slightly retells the origin story of them, but like it kind of goes, I mean, for what it's worth, quote unquote, a little more in depth. So basically, though, to answer the question, I only really just knew the first game and like some characters outside of the first game.
Okay. Well, I think, and I've heard other people say this before, I think it can be summed up as in the original game was Ratchet's story. And, it was a little bit of the Clank story. Clank's story was more in the future saga, I think. But the original was Ratchet's story. The reboot is more Quark's story. Because they gave a little bit more to, like, it was like a reboot, and they kind of worked in a little bit more to him and stuff like that. That's fine, but why call it Ratchet and Clank if Quark is going to be the focus, I don't get it.
Yeah, that was really weird direction. Wasn't that also, the game kind of did something similar, right? It starts off with, like, Quark and
yeah, Quark is the narrator throughout the whole game.
Yeah, that is really weird. Is he? I mean, this is going to be a dumb, question, I suppose, but like, he is like a fan favorite, isn't he? Of sorts.
I mean, I think he is. I don't really know. I never really thought about that. I never really thought about like if people really, really like him or consider him like a favorite, because I don't really hear tons of people talk about him. The only thing I know is Nefarious is a fan favorite, and geez, did they milk him for all he was worth.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that. You were like seeing a character like that for too long in like every iteration or every like installment of something that comes out. You know how they said there's such a thing as having too much of a good thing? So like, that's kind of
exactly.
what you're talking
and that's
about.
exactly what it was. Like, because his first appearance, like, I loved him. He is still my favorite video game villain of all time. And I was like, wow, I love his character. He's great. And then when he appeared again as the main villain in A Crack in Time, like, there was enough space between there where I was like, oh, he's come back as the main villain. That's cool. Even though I'm not sure if you can count him as the main villain because he wasn't the final boss, but that's a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, but after that, then they brought him back in All for One. And I was like, okay, I like that you get to play as him. That's cool. And then they brought him back for the movie. And I'm like, just let him go for a second, please.
I forgot how they worked him into the reboot. Like, I remember Cork's like, yeah, you get to fight as a cadet or whatever, like whatever they call them, like the baddest villains around, and they have like this screenshot or the slideshow little thing behind him, like all these, I guess, past villains, whatever, and he's there.
Yeah, they worked him in by saying like, oh, he used to work for the Galactic Rangers and stuff like that, and then not Alora. I almost said Alora. Alaris took his position. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. And then Alora shows up.
And she's like, yeah, I'm Courtney Gears.
Oh. Yeah. That was a good way to tie it in.
I was like, wait a minute, I need to work in a joke about that.
She says, I'm Courtney Gears, you dork.
I'm Courtney Gears, you dork.
And then becomes a Spyro movie. Oh my god, a Spyro Ratchet movie would be really cool, actually.
A crossover.
Can we get like an Insomniac cinematic universe? And they have to fight the whatevers from Resistance? Oh my god, that'd be cool, actually.
we could put Space Spyro in there.
Oh my god, yes. You could use
Galaxy And Spyro the Space Moose.
Spyro the Space Moose. He meets him in real life.
He meets him in real life, though. So yeah, that's basically how that worked. He was that's how they worked him into the story, and then but they just, you know, it's kind of disrespectful to like Drek, like, because he should have been the main villain as he was in the original.
Yeah.
And it's like they just pushed him aside, and they were just like, no, Nefarious is the main villain now. That's like if there was like a reboot of Spyro and Nasty Nork was there, but then Ripto came in and he was like, no, I'm the main villain, actually. Like, that's stupid.
That would be really weird. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. Like, I was at least expecting in the game, like, some kind of... There's not even a fight against Drek. Like, the scene from the movie where he turns him into a sheep, spoilers, is what happens in the game, and you don't even get to fight him. And I thought they were going to, like, pay homage to, like, his fight from the first game.
Oh, yeah, no. They gave his boss fight to Nefarious.
Yeah, and it sucks, by the way, because I finally beat it a little less than a year ago, and it sucked.
Oh yeah, I hate that fight. That's a horrible fight. I hate it.
The thing though about the Ratchet movie is that I really adored the fact that they stuck so close to it. That was the one thing that I just, even if the reboot never happened and it was just the movie, they said, okay, we're like, Insomniac came out and they're like, Ratchet is back, but not as a game. Here's the movie. Like, that would have been so cool, because if they dropped like the trailer right then and there and we saw, oh my god, it's basically cinematics from a game, but it's a full movie. Like, point being, it sticks so close to the source material. And that, for me, like, off the bat, was like the thing that made me go, okay, this is really going to be like up there as like one of the greatest video game movies to be made, because that is the mark nearly everyone misses. You look at the old stuff too, like Mortal Kombat, Super Mario Brothers, Street Fighter, like, they were all really weird live action. I guess they thought because it was the 90s and like CGI wasn't really there yet.
That was the era of like live action video game movies, and that wouldn't exactly stop there, because I don't know if you've seen Prince of Persia. I have.
No, I haven't.
It was kind of boring. Like, there were things that were enjoyable about it, but having played Prince of Persia and the Sands of Time, I never beat it, but I did play it. I thought, oh, hey, this is kind of fun. It got a little difficult, so I stopped playing. I never even got to my favorite character. I don't even know how she's my favorite character, because I never got to her, but I always liked the way she looked. I like her design. So, Farah, this chick who wore red, and she had a bow and arrow. I thought she was really cool, and I always wanted to get to her in game, but I never did. And they didn't have her in the movie, and I was like, oh, come on. So, that was disappointing.
What console was Sands of Time on?
I had it on PS2.
Is that the one that like is like the favorite amongst the fan favorite?
Usually when you hear about Prince of Persia, it's like most often it's the Sands of Time.
Okay. Because I remember like kind of wanting to play it, and there was a Prince of Persia that I think my friend Chase gave me. I don't remember. But yeah, I've never seen the movie. But yeah, that whole weird Resident Evil or Tomb Raider, like those movies were really weird.
Or Silent Hill.
Or Silent Hill, yeah. Like they were all in this era of like, sure, movies like that can definitely, I feel, work more now since like it's really weird. It's so weird because I have a lot of thoughts going through my head. So like, let's like rewind a little bit and continue off of like Mario Brothers, Mortal Kombat. Those movies, or at least Mario, definitely would have worked in CGI, which thankfully they're going to do now with Illumination. But back then, that movie had like no direction. They didn't know what to pull from. They were like, well, we'll bring Toad in as a character. He's some weird musician. Here are the Goombas. They look like weird, like alligators. The Koopas look more like alligators. And it's like, there are all these weird things that they try to pull all these characters, but they didn't have a definitive direction for anything. The Ryoshi's in there for like maybe 2 seconds. He doesn't do anything. And it's because I think that the CGI at the time, the technology wasn't really there, and I don't, to my knowledge, I don't think Toy Story was even made yet, because here in the US that was the first full-length CGI movie.
Yes.
Otherwise, CGI was just used for shorts and all that. But those kinds of movies, I feel, if you're gonna, okay, this is what I think. If you're gonna do movies off games with human characters like Uncharted, like Last of Us, which are also movies that are slated to come out whenever, I guess, because the Uncharted movie just went through its, I think, 6th or 7th director. So that's just stuck in permanent development hell. Even though we got that fan film with Nathan Fillion, which I rewatched again recently. I showed my mom that film, and she loved it so much because she was watching me play the first game or the second game, and then afterwards we switched into YouTube and I showed her that fan film, and she was like, if there's gonna be an Uncharted movie, this is the way it should be done. And I'm like, yeah, that I would want that if Hollywood wasn't fucking stupid sometimes. And all of a sudden, no, something's going on. I don't know what it is. I think it's like fan films might end up having to be the way to go for certain movies like this versus big budget Hollywood films that like either don't know how to get the direction because they're not talking too often to the actual creators of that property, or like Paramount, they just kind of want to do their own thing with that IP, and then we get the Sonic movie, and it's like, okay, that, you know, but like before we even get into that, like freaking, I think that the movies that are based off games with more human characters and it's primarily a photorealistic or it's supposed to be a realistic world that can be not CGI, that could be live action. Those movies are just weird because they also, I don't know how well they take from the source material because I've never really seen them, but from what I've heard, they're not very good. I don't know if it's because of the acting or if it's the story. But then you've got, you know, movies based off like cartoon characters, like how Spyro was going to be all CG. There was supposed to be a Legend of Zelda movie from, I want to say it was, I forget who it was, but it was the company who made the 2007 CGI TMNT, the TMNT movie.
Oh, okay.
Where Nolan North was Raphael.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And that was a really cool movie. People, you know, have said it was.
And both Ratchets were in that movie, actually.
Yeah. I heard people say that it was like kind of boring or whatever, but like
I liked that movie.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool. Yeah, I thought it was really good. That team was supposed to do a Zelda movie, and there's a pitch that's on YouTube. It's been out for a number of years now. And the style of it doesn't really, like, at first glance look like Zelda, but they wanted to make it like their own. So like, I don't know, because it was just a pitch. I don't know if that's the style that they would have stuck with, or how far ahead they were trying to plan on this project, and it probably wasn't very far because Nintendo looked at it and said, "Yeah, no." Like for as good as it looked, that Mario movie messed them up so bad and messed up Nintendo's trust with anyone else and putting their trust in, to handle the property, any of their properties. That's why it's taken so long from that initial live action Mario film for this new CGI one to be made. That's like over 20 years. Of a gap between. They never try to make a movie like that again. Nintendo did try to make Pikmin shorts that were all CGI, and Miyamoto I think directed them or something like that, and that was back in the Wii U era. That was pretty cool, and I was like, well, if Nintendo wants to do stuff like this, because that was around the time when they were like, yeah, we want to branch out, do new things. I'm like, well, if you want to get into movies, why don't you make the movies based off of your properties? Like that would have been so cool. And then you get things like Detective Pikachu, where it's cartooniness in the Pokemon world, and this is based off the game for DS. Which when that came out and that was mentioned, that was announced and revealed, I was like, what? Like this is going to be really weird. And I've never played the game, but I saw the movie and I looked at it and I'm like, okay, this might actually be kind of cool. Because like for the Pokemon themselves, they actually stuck really close to the designs.
Yeah, they actually did look pretty good. The only thing I didn't, because I just watched that recently actually, and it's the only thing I didn't really like is the way I think Mewtwo looked kind of weird. I think we could see Mewtwo's teeth. I don't really like that.
Yeah, when you think about it, making the Pokemon as realistic as they did, little things like that were really weird. What other characters look kind of weird? Mr. Mime looked really weird.
Mr. Mime looked weird. I thought Apom looked weird. Was it Apom? I think it was Apom.
I think the little monkey one?
Yeah.
Yeah, his face looked a little weird.
Yeah. I think mostly it's because of the teeth. Why is teeth always so weird when it comes to CG? Like it like that could be like that's the make or break for me. If you show too much teeth, it's like, oh god, that's disgusting. Like
I think it's because they tend to try to make teeth looking realistic in and of itself, especially if you're going to put them on a cartoon character. It looks kind of weird. Like just automatically, it's like very uncanny valley.
Yeah, and that's kind of what a lot of people didn't like that about the reignited designs for like Elora and Agent 9, I think. They're just like, oh my god, why could we see their teeth? It looks weird. For them, I think it's okay. So I'm like, okay, that works. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Not like George, who just looks awful.
No, I can see this coming from a mile away.
I'm sorry. I just don't like the way George looks. He just looks creepy.
He's really cute.
No, it's George. Not. The teeth are horrible. It's the teeth. Okay, then angle the camera down or up so that way his angle is kind of down and you can't really see. You're viewing him from like the top, like a bird's eye view, and then you can't see his teeth. I mean, okay, that would be fine then. Except his head's too big. That's okay. He's disproportionate, and I don't like his teeth. Okay, just saying that.
Also, people didn't like Sonic's weird teeth. Like comparing the two designs,
I didn't like those either.
That weird, gross design.
Yeah.
And the newer, slightly closer looking to the actual design from the games. Things like that that's what I'm saying too. Like, not only do you need to have the direction for your movie, your game movie, but like it's very important. That's another thing too. Like going back again to the movies, the older like 90s, early 2000s movies. That was Hollywood, and that was companies trying to just do their movie and be like, here you go, fans. And then a lot of the fans were like, what the hell is this? But
yeah.
Nowadays, with social media being just so abundant and so strong, it gives companies a chance to be able to actually talk to the fans and be like, okay, what do you want to see? Or did we get this right in terms of when they show a trailer and then fans react accordingly.
Fans react to. I mean, yeah, it was like all that stuff back then. The video game movies they make back then, like that is all direct to VHS DVD stuff. I mean, that's kind of the feeling that they had. That's the quality that they had.
Mm-hmm. But then you get things like, again, and we're not going to stay on this too long, I promise, but like the whole Paramount situation, when you hear their like behind the scenes little bits of, you know, how they wanted the Sonic movie to originally go, at least in terms of integrating him and like his design and whatnot, they had this strict idea of trying, as they put it, like trying to go their own direction, where he would look like quote unquote realistically, versus keeping the cartooniness about him. And then you got the abomination you saw in that first trailer, and
Yeah.
that would have just been whatever if it stopped there. But then you start hearing that they were so adamant on going this direction originally that if it wasn't for the fans' just worldwide distaste for this design and this direction, they would have kept it that if it weren't for that. Because they ignored most fans initially. They ignored Sega's demands to tweak things to fit more in line of what Sonic was, or looked like,
But
at least.
they had to have known that it would get backlash.
Of course. Like, that's what makes me upset about companies handling stuff like this. It's like, if you're not confident off the bat that you already have this vision in mind when you want to take on a project like this, don't do it. Like, just straight up why waste your time and your money? Because they were so hard pressed to be like, okay, this is what we're doing, and this is what we're doing. Like, they ignored Yuji Naka, one of the co-creators of Sonic, and it's just like initially it got so bad, and then you look back at the Uncharted film and it's like they're just stuck in some weird hell, and I don't know where that progress even is. And there was supposed to be a Last of Us movie, and I've literally heard nothing from it. Like, at least for Uncharted, they wanted, I think, Tom Holland, or they wanted some other actors, and they're going through actors, and the cast keeps the characters keep getting recast, and again, like I said, this is like their 6th or 7th director. I don't even know who it is at this point. And if you're not confident, like I'm saying from the get-go, of either like Uncharted, you don't know what you're doing, and people just don't want to work on this project, or then on the early Sonic side, where it's like you have this vision so clear, but you are so hard-headed, you don't want to take in the feedback until you're forced to. I think that's why just this whole that's the weird thing about video game movies, is that it's just so this way, that way, no clear vision that they don't even want to change. And that's probably why it's really just not working right now. There are some, again, small little movies in there that make it through, and they're decently, put together. Like, again, Ratchet or Detective Pikachu was really good, but because there are some ways to get around sticking too close to the source material. Like, I don't even know how close Detective Pikachu the movie takes from the game.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I think they saw the potential of just it being its own good little story, that they just ran with it, and still it somehow worked.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
Or
do you
not so much on game movies in general, just because I haven't really seen a lot of them. Like, I saw Detective Pikachu, I saw that Prince of Persia one, and then as we were talking about earlier before we started recording, I'm like, oh, do the Pokemon movies count? Like, that aren't Detective Pikachu? The other Pokemon movies that are based on the anime, which is based on the game, but not really. Like, because...
I mean, I would count them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it does, but because they're going off the anime, which was its own separate thing from the game, even though it's based off the the concept, of course, of the game. It's its own thing, and they're almost. They're almost completely separate things now. That's kind of what I see them as. Like, there's the Pokemon games, and then there's the anime. And
what was that one?
I've always liked the anime.
I know, me too. What was the one? I'm forgetting. I think it was Pokemon Origins that was actually based off the games.
Right. Yeah, and there have been like little animated kind of short. It was more like a kind of shorts, I guess, that it was like put together into a full series, but it wasn't like a full series like the Pokemon anime that we know is.
Did you ever see any of those?
Yeah, I did. I think I saw all of them.
I haven't seen anything. I remember hearing it and thinking it was a good concept, and then I just never got around to watching it.
And then there are, of course, the people who say that Pokemon Special or Pokemon Adventures, the manga, is the best iteration of Pokemon, and I kind of wish that had an animated series, because if people are saying that's the best one, okay, I want to watch that.
Are there any plans or anything? Have you heard anything about that?
Nope, nothing.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, how was Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution? I still haven't seen it.
So, like, I actually want to do a video about that.
Oh, okay.
Going a little, analyzing the, and comparing the two, because I believe I have talked about it or ranted a little bit about the things that I didn't like in that compared to the original. And it was mostly due to what they did with just certain scenes that held a little more power in the original. And I'm not sure if that was due to, like, the animation or, just the way that they decided to like, present certain things, or, but I had a couple problems with Mewtwo's character in general.
Okay.
I didn't feel like he came off as threatening as he did. As intimidating, I guess, so.
I'm recalling a few bits that you've told me about it.
And while there are some scenes that look really good, and I do think it's only fair to compare both Japanese versions, because of course, you can't compare to the 4Kids version because they had their own dialogue and it was completely different from the original.
That's still really, really weird to me.
Yeah, well, that's just kind of what they did back then. But as much as I love, but I've seen all four versions. I've seen the original Japanese version of the original. I've seen, of course, the 4Kids English dub, which I love very much, and I've seen the Japanese and English versions of Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution.
Nice.
Yeah, it has problems. It wasn't horrible, but it has problems.
Okay.
And now, we're gonna talk about licensed video games.
Yay! So games based off of movies.
Yes.
And there are a bunch out there. Y'all played Spider-Man 3 or whatever?
No.
with the woman with the bug eyes?
Is that the one that's supposed to be, like, really bad?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Do I have that game? No, wait. No, I don't know. I have a Spider-Man game, and I don't know which one it is. I don't think it's Spider-Man 3, though. It's a PS2. It's a PS2 game, I think. Or is it PS3? I don't know.
So we're gonna go off of, like, actual games from movies, not like how Spider-Man would be like a comic book character. I would say, because I've got not the game based off the first movie. The only Spider-Man game I've ever really played is, even, and just only for a little bit, was the demo of the PS1 game, but it's not based off anything in particular, so it's just like its own standalone thing.
Yeah.
I do have Ratatouille, though. That was really weird. That was a weird experience. I played it for vid games. Didn't get very far in it. A lot of those games are the weird ones because there's no real direction for it besides, okay, what happens in the movie? This happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. Okay, ending of movie. Now build levels around that for this video game. And
Yeah, and then they end up putting in things that just make no sense. And I'm just like, this never happened. Why are you doing this?
yeah. I was telling you before we were recording that I played a Kung Fu Panda game. Probably like the first one, so it's based off the first movie. One time I had like some little procedure done in the hospital, and they literally wheeled in after everything was done, and I was in the little recovery room. They wheeled in a PS2 or something, and I was playing Kung Fu Panda, and I remember, like, I was Tigress, and I was like trying to defeat some like dragon thing, or it was some like firework creature. I don't even remember what it was. This is still the first game. It's not the second one, but it was some weird. I don't remember what it was. It was
I had a Kung
really,
Fu
really
Panda
strange.
game. It was a DS game, though.
Was it?
Yeah.
Do you remember anything from it?
No, not at all.
Like, I don't know if I have as harsh of a philosophy or as deep of like this kind of criticism for games based off movies as I do movies based off games, because I haven't played enough or as many games based off movies as I've watched movies based off games. But I feel like the same kinds of principles might kind of have to be there, where it's like, if you're going to make a successful, I mean, they kind of have a weird rep for just being so strange. Like, they have a quote unquote genre of game model themselves where it's licensed games. Like, there's your original stuff with these original characters, and you've got all these weird games that, okay, the Incredibles game, the Wreck-It Ralph game. Like, it's so strange.
Yeah.
But I think for it to be, quote unquote successful to some degree, it would have to, I guess, take from the source material, which would be the film, but still structure it enough to be able to make sense and have something there to keep players engaged, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about licensed video games is, when I was growing up, these games were basically my first exposure to games, like, in general, because my first console was the Super Nintendo, and I had Aladdin, The Lion King, The Jungle Book, Ren and Stimpy. Like, the only thing that wasn't a licensed game that I had was, like, Killer Instinct and Super Adventure Island or something. Because most of the games I had were all licensed.
So which ones were like your absolute favorites?
Or
do you even have a favorite?
I really can't have a favorite. I mean, I don't know, because, like, I don't know, it's hard to say, because when I was a kid, I didn't really know how games worked. I just kind of would, play them. I had no concept of, like, that I could finish a game, that I could beat a game.
Yeah.
I would just kind of play them. And besides, like, the ones that I had, like The Lion King or Aladdin, how was I supposed to know I could beat those games? They were super hard, especially The Lion King. Like, I couldn't even pass level 2. So, I mean, how was I even to know that I could do anything? And as with Killer Instinct, like, oh, this is a fighting game. Like, I didn't know it had, like, a story mode. It was, like, what's that? I don't know.
I was gonna say too, because they brought them back as a collection on the PS4, at least for like Lion King and Aladdin. Like what were your thoughts on that? Like, being able to play it again, is it? They're basically the same games, right? Like, they weren't remade from the ground up necessarily. I think
they're the same games. However, it's only The Lion King because they didn't include the SNES version of Aladdin in that collection, and I am very salty about that. It's only the Genesis version, and I never owned a Sega console, so I've never played that version of Aladdin. So that's not what I remember. And the music isn't as good either.
I'm trying to think of other games. I know my brother has a Wreck-It Ralph game. I know we got the Lego Movie game on like I think the Wii U or something, but I've never even touched it, so I don't even know if it. I don't know if it plays like a typical Lego game, or like if like Lego Harry Potter, Lego Star Wars, Lego Batman, or like if it tries to be its own other thing. Like, have you ever seen that Lego City Undercover game?
I think so.
It's like a really weird single player action game. So it looks like a platformer, but so it's not. It doesn't have like the like. I don't think you would call it isometric, but it doesn't have that camera angle that most Lego games do. I don't think you can switch different characters. It's one strict storyline with like these main characters, and it's like some really weird game. So I don't know if the Lego Movie game follows that or if it plays like a more traditional Lego game. I don't even know if it's from Traveler's Tales or not. Like I don't know. I don't know much about it. We haven't really touched it, so I don't even know why my brother wanted it.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. And then I had what else? I had a Scooby-Doo game where I couldn't pass the first level.
Have you played Cyberchase?
Oh, of course. I have that game. Wait, do I still have that game? I don't know if I still have it. I might have given it away.
I remember I rented it like a really long time ago. I rented that and I think Home Alone 2 like in the same. God, those are good memories.
I don't think I still have it, but I did like that game for what it was.
It was okay.
It had some good things. I never beat it though.
Didn't they make games based off the live action films, the two films, or at least the first one?
I don't know. If they did, I never played them.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if I that sounds like a thing they would do. Actually, no, they did. You know why? Because I think wasn't it like in the previews of the second movie, they were like, "Oh, Scooby-Doo's on Game Boy," and it's like the first movie's game.
Yeah, it must have been something like that. What else was I thinking of? Oh yeah, apparently Toy Story 2 on PlayStation was a really good game. Apparently. I had it, but I didn't really play a lot of it, and then I gave it away. So I don't know why. I just never gave it a chance for some reason or another.
I played a little bit of it. I forgot how far we got. I liked it enough. It's a typical like kind of platformer. It was okay. I'd probably have to play it again. I don't think my copy. Well, like I actually have. Oh my god, I'm looking up footage for the oh Jesus, these graphics. Ugh. I'm looking at the Scooby-Doo GBA game. Oh my god. Yeah. So it's like a side scroller. And see, that's like the easiest thing to do. If you don't know what to do for your fucking game and you're making a handheld adaptation of this movie into a game form, I suppose just turn it into a 2D side scroller. They did the same thing, you know what, come to think of it, with Spy Kids 3D. That was a game. That was a game I remember I really wanted to play because in the previews for the film, they were like, play the movie. I mean, you've got the movie, now play the game. And I was like, whoa!
Play the movie.
Play the movie. Oh, that's basically what you're doing.
Basically, yeah, you're playing the movie because it was already about a video game.
Except that it was just really weird. Like, you're Junie and you're jumping around and it's like, fucking like, what?
But I mean, the most important thing was Elijah Wood in it.
Yeah, he was Spyro. He said, I don't know, what's a quote that Elijah
He said, I'm the guy.
He breathed fire at Junie and killed him.
I'm the dragon.
I'm the dragon. I'm the guy dragon. What was it I was talking about? No, Toy Story 2 was okay. I remember playing a freaking Toy Story racing game, or it was that racing like combat game.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I rented it a really, really long time ago, and I vaguely remember it. I'm gonna try to look it up, but I don't. And I think there are. Let me see. There is. When we bought my mom her PS3, it came with a Toy Story 3 game. We never played it, but I think it is also some otherly like weird platformer. That's what I'm going to assume it is. I don't know if that's what it is. That's what it kind of looks like. It's really strange.
I always liked the 102 Dalmatians game for PlayStation.
How did that go? Well, what kind of game was it?
That game was just really, really fun. I never owned it, but I rented it, and I don't think I got super far. I got to about, what was it, the Big Ben level, I think. And I only saw the rest of the game when my friend Hari played it because she had it. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh my god, I love this game. It was just really, really fun.
Cool. Dear God. I actually, oh my god, I remember this. I'm looking at it's called Toy Story Racer. It's for the PS1.
Toy Story Racer.
Wow.
Toy Story racists.
I don't want that to be a game.
They're a fan of races.
Okay. Good. Are there any other games based off movies that you want to talk about? We talked about The Incredibles, I think, a little bit. I rented it.
Yeah, I had that game, and I don't remember anything about it.
I was in a forest. I don't know. That happens in the movie.
I think I might have had the Bolt game for PS2 or something.
Oh god, how does that go?
I don't remember.
It's like Spyro. Do you run around and try to jump out of a car and you flop around on the hillside? That's a strange scene I just thought of from the movie.
I don't think so. Is
it a fucking escort game and you've got Mittens like tied to you because she's got the leash or whatever?
No, I don't think. I don't know. I
do you swing her around and fucking attack using her Whiplash style?
No.
That would be really
so
funny.
Mean.
That would be funny.
No, that's mean. I love Mittens.
You twirl her around your head like a lasso and you throw her. You unleash her onto your opposing forces and she scratches the fuck out of them.
No. I don't remember anything about it. I also had Wall-E for PS3, but I never played it. I never got a chance to play it.
Wasn't it also for PS2?
It might have been.
Because I think, again, we rented a lot of these games. We don't exactly own all of them. But that one I remember my brother played because I think he wanted it. So that we rented it for him. And I think I was either sick and I was going in and out of consciousness, like falling asleep, or that's how disinterested I was in it because like you're just going around. I don't remember what he was supposed to be doing, but he was just rolling around as Wall-E, collecting stuff, and he was primarily like still on Earth, so he was, I think, just making trash cubes or something. It's very riveting gameplay.
That's really riveting. And then I used to have actually I think I still have these games. I have a Powerpuff Girls game for Game Boy Color and the Teen Titans game for Game Boy Advance, and I thought they were pretty fun. Because you got to fly around and, fight the bad guys. And I always thought the Teen Titans game was pretty cool because you got to switch between all the characters.
Uh-huh. Well, you do the same in the PS2 Xbox GameCube game, except that game was just really weird. That's also something I did on the Vid Games channel a long time ago. I think something like that could work again if you treat it more... well, really, if you just, I guess, made it better.
Yeah,
like, there were a lot of things I would change about that game.
It would be better if you made it better. Like, yeah. that could be said for a lot of things. And then another game that I really liked, but I haven't played in years, and I don't really remember a lot about it, is the Meet the Robinsons for GameCube.
Uh-huh. I didn't even know there was a game for that.
Yeah. I think it was also for PS2. But I had it on GameCube, and I really liked it. Then again, at the time, I was really into Meet the Robinsons, and so was Hari. It was kind of a thing. Oh, we had a whole phase. Oh, let's not talk about that. Anyway.
A whole Meet the Robinsons phase. Who was your guy? Is there a guy? Do you have a guy?
I like Frankie and Carl.
I was gonna say, I'm forcing you down this path you don't want to go down for a little bit.
I like Frankie and Carl. They were my favorites.
What? What was I gonna say?
And then Hari had a crush on Will.
Will.
Wilbur. I'm outing her. I'm calling her out.
Oh my god. What was I gonna say? I did have a Finding Nemo game on computer, on PC. It was really weird. It was more of like a little kid's game, kind of. I mean, I was young. I don't think young enough to really be interested much in it. I think it was more for my brother than it was for me. But you just do like remedial little activities. Remedial, I said remedial. Remedial activities.
Remedial.
And it's not much of a game. It's just more of like, okay, go around, create a little band with other fish. Go around, do this. Go around, do that. It was like really weird.
Oh my god, you just reminded the Disney Activity Center games. Oh my god, I loved those. I loved those when I was a kid. Oh, I had a Lion King one. Oh, it's great.
See, now we're getting to the obscure stuff. It's not even video games, it's computer games.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's still games, though.
Yeah. It's very obscure stuff.
Yeah, I had I had Lion King one. I had a Winnie the Pooh one, I think.
Nice.
I'm not sure if it was an activity center. It might have been something else. I found it when I was looking up something recently. And then I think I had one for Pocahontas, but I cannot be sure. And then I definitely had a Toy Story one.
Awesome.
But yeah, those were really fun. I liked the different, because they're all like, you know, different activities and like, oh, read through like a little storybook or something. It was just, I don't know, just little fun things for little kids, but I like them. What else? But yeah, going back to the whole thing about licensed video games where they're really weird because they put in stuff like, well, how do we make a video game out of a movie besides throwing in shit that never happened in the movie and making it seem like this is part of it, like this is part of the world, this could definitely happen. It's like I don't really see this going down. Like like what was the it reminds me of the Polar Express game. I don't think I ever had it. But it's just like, remember when you had to find everybody else's ticket and kick things at the evil Jack in the Box thing? Like, you know, it's like, yeah, that happened in the movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, from a game that you have played, from a licensed movie game you have played, like, can you, off the top of your head, think of a moment like that you're like, okay, this is not from the movie. I don't know where they pulled this out of. This is weird.
Oh man, I'm trying my best. I would say that's most of the 102 Dalmatians game, because I'm like, you know, well, this obviously never happened because it's all about Oddball and the other one. I completely forgot his name. But you switch between the two dogs, and you just kind of go, you know, roaming around and stuff like that. And I'm like, this never happened. You never met it. Remember when you met a bat named Yvonne in Big Ben? No, that didn't happen. But it's still a cool thing, and I really liked that. I love Yvonne. She's like my favorite character in the game.
I can't believe I've gone all this time without mentioning the SpongeBob movie game, because that was so good. And it's just because
maybe that might be a good thing to bring up since Rehydrated is coming.
Yeah, oh my god, I can't fucking wait for Rehydrated. Anyway, Rehydrated is coming out next month. I'm so excited. I already pre-ordered it. It's going to be a fun time. But because that's Battle for Bikini Bottom. The movie game, when it first came out, was, I think, also done by Heavy Iron, which are the original developers for the original Battle for Bikini Bottom. And so, as such, they just took, like, a bunch of assets from Battle for Bikini Bottom, and basically I used the same engine, the same everything. So it was, even though it was a game by name based off the first movie, it, at its core, is almost a semi-sequel to Battle for Bikini Bottom. Not that it follows anything from it. It completely follows the storyline of the movie, but it's still a platformer. It still has, like, it has vehicle segments, which weren't even in Battle for Bikini Bottom. where you're in the paddy wagon. It was really, really cool. And even though so what they did was, here's what I'm saying. Okay, here's where now my mind's working at a million miles an hour. This is where you can make a video game movie, or sorry, a game off of a movie, relatively good. Maybe not successful in terms of, oh, everyone will be playing it, but I feel, just as an idiot on the internet, a way to make it fun for others to play probably would be to take those moments, and if you have to twist them a bit in order to fit a game, you could make it fun. You have to make it fun. So I remember, instead of, you're trying to escape from, I never beat it. I need to beat this game. But I remember, to get away from the Cyclops, you're not just running away from him or whatever, or you don't call on you don't turn the sprinklers on to make the other knick-knack, fish folk come back to life to take him down. You have to escape him by taking the crown and then sledding off this weird, I don't know if it was like a hose or what the hell it was, but there's this weird twisty track or something that you have to sled through or sled on or like grind on or whatever. And it's this whole maze of just stuff you have to like navigate to avoid them. And it was really cool. It's one of the last things I remember from that game for as far as I got in it. But like playing through, you're playing through the scenes basically, and it's like super cool because you play through, you get to fight the frogfish, and it's this whole big boss battle, and it's really cool, and the music's terrifying. And then you have to do all this cool stuff, and you, I think, go to the what's it called, the Thug Tug or whatever, and that's where like all those big burly dudes are. And then you play near more the beginning. You're playing through Goofy Goobers, and you're all drunk, and not that that affects the gameplay, but like just seeing them and their walking animations or running animations, and they look all derpy and loopy. It's really, really funny.
Yeah, I think for every console I've owned, I've had a licensed game.
That's crazy. I can only think of like...
Yeah, that's true. In fact, one of the first games that I got for the PlayStation, I got the Xena game along with Spyro.
Oh, dang, nice.
And I don't really remember much about that, except I was very scared of the opening cutscene.
Oh my god.
But that'll be a discussion for another time. Things we were scared of in games.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that... If you've watched Aaron's video on... it was the October stuff, the Foxtober videos. Oh, mine's in there.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, that was I remember that was one of the things that genuinely scared me. I just would skip right past it. I think I watched it back and I was like, this isn't scary. There's nothing about this that's scary. I just wouldn't watch it because it was really loud.
Oh, yeah.
Loud things scared me. I
remember, this is unrelated to like, video game movies, but I have a Tetris game on PS1 called Tetris Plus, and Jellico is the one who made that, and their freaking logo, like little intro at the beginning of the game, which you cannot skip, after the initial PS1 boot up, there's like black for maybe like 10 seconds, and then it jumps out at you and it's like, Jellico! And like, just because that's how fast they said it. It was like a little jingle that goes like bring or whatever, but it was like really loud, and it just happens like without warning. And it didn't like scare me to where I was scared playing the game. I just, every time I booted it up, I would try to anticipate it, and I would keep like getting jump scared by it.
Right. Oh my god. I don't like the things. It gives me anxiety.
Yeah, totally.
I never really played much of that Xena game either.
Do you still have it?
Yeah, I do still have it, actually. It's definitely still down there. I don't know. You see, with all these licensed games, like, I wish I could say that, like, I like that game and I beat that game and I remember it fully, but I don't. There's always something missing from that. Like, the only one of the ones that I mentioned, I know that I've beaten the Meet the Robinsons game, but I haven't played it in years. I don't remember a thing about it. Like, see, you're going like, oh, the SpongeBob movie game, and then you could say all these different things that happened to it. I wish I had that, but I don't, because I don't remember anything.
It goes to show you, too, how weird my memory is, because there's certain things from games like that I can, like, totally recall, and then yet you'll probably tell me something important one day and then 2 days later ask me about it and I'll forget like what it was.
Oh, what was that? Yeah, I know. Your memory is very weird. I erase half your memories and make you left-handed.
But then I already am. And you wouldn't even... How's that go? And you wouldn't even... I don't even have...
I already have a poor memory, so good luck finding anything worth deleting. Wait a minute! Yeah, so that's kind of all I can say about that. I think... What was the last licensed game that I had? Probably that Kung Fu Panda fighting game for PS4.
Like it was an actual like fighting game?
Yeah. And while the character roster was pretty good, and like I kind of liked playing with some of the characters, the controls just weren't really good because I was expecting like oh maybe this because I keep thinking like oh maybe this is like Smash or something like that. And I kind of keep expecting things to work a little bit like Smash or even PlayStation All Stars, which I liked enough. I mean, some people are like, oh, it sucked. I thought it was fine.
Oh, is it Kung Fu Panda Showdown of Legendary Legends?
That's it.
I'm looking it up here.
Yeah, so the controls kind of sucked because, like, while you were doing your attack, you couldn't jump. Like, you were just stuck in place. And every time I would try to, like jump, I don't know if you can... It's either it wouldn't let me jump and attack, or it wouldn't let me, like, attack and then jump right after. Like, you couldn't... Whatever you were doing, you were stuck doing that motion, and you had to wait to do your next move. And I was like, it doesn't flow! I was like, oh my god, this is so not right. It felt really stiff.
This game isn't that old either, because this came out after Kung Fu Panda 3.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You know what fighting game I did play that was really shit? Shrek Super Slam. Oh boy, that game. It's more of like an arena fighter, so you can freely move around.
I had Shrek 2 for GameCube. I remember that. I liked playing as Puss in Boots. Because you got to switch between all the characters, and I was like, oh, I could play as Puss in Boots, but I don't really remember anything about the game, except it was weird. Oh my god, I remember the Harry Potter games!
One of my friends had, like, I think,
now we're getting into it because I'm actually starting to remember things.
Oh my god. You thought it was over, folks. It's not over.
No, I know, because I keep remembering licensed games that had... Oh my god, I had the Harry Potter... I had
Chamber of Secrets.
I had... Okay, so I had Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, for those of you British folk. Anyway, for Game Boy.
Those of you Muggles.
Yeah, those of you...
We're not Muggles.
We are not Muggles. We call it sorcerers. We're American wizards. Anyway. And it's alliteration. It's better. So I had that game for Game Boy, and I thought it was kind of weird. All I remember is like I keep remembering Harry saying Lumos over and over again. For some reason, that's the one thing that sticks out. But I can't really remember anything about that. The Chamber of Secrets game, I got stuck. I remember it being super weird. I know there are things there. If I had a better memory of this, I would be able to pull specific things out. But there were like, what was it? Certain puzzles or things that I had to do that it was just, it wasn't really fun. And then the same thing with Prisoner of Azkaban. The only reason I got that game was because I wanted to fly on Buckbeak.
I like Buckbeak.
I was like, oh, you get to fly on Buckbeak. That sounds fun. So I got it.
Was it fun?
I never got to that part because I got stuck.
Oh, no.
Exactly. They had all these dumb puzzles and stuff, and like the game would like glitch out, and I wouldn't be able to do stuff. And oh my god, it was not a fun experience.
Yeah, those games. How differently can you make? I'm surprised that they were able to make a game for every movie when the majority of each movie, let alone probably game, is that you're just in Hogwarts. Like, so every game you're in Hogwarts basically. And the only thing I remember from Chamber of Secrets when my friend had it is that, because again, yeah, I too have like just very vague memories of that because I never got to really play it. Is it didn't look interesting to me. It's just he was just running around as Harry throughout Hogwarts trying to find the next thing to do, and
Yeah. You have to like follow ghosts and stuff, and then like do their bullshit puzzles, and then collect things. And there's like a part with gnomes at the beginning or something when you have to like toss them around and so long gay Bowser them. I don't remember.
That's so weird. You know what Shrek game we did have, going back to that real quick, that I remember a little bit of? Shrek the Third on the Wii.
Oh my god, what was that like?
I don't even remember. It was so weird. My grandma wanted it for some reason, so we got it for her. And she and my brother played it. I just watched because I was like, how the hell, how do you make a game out of this? They just go find Arthur and then go back. And then it's, Prince Charming's taking over.
That could be asked for like a lot of things. How do you make a game out of this? I don't know. You just you put the plot in the movie, but then you put in random stuff that never happened.
Add shitty mini games around it.
Add shitty mini games around it. There. That's what you do.
Or you could just do something like the SpongeBob movie and make it something familiar that you've probably played or seen before, aka, Battle for Bikini Bottom, make it the movie game platformer, and then build that kind of mechanic and that stuff around the scenes of the game, of the movie, and make it fun to play as a game. Like, that's why it's so memorable. And if people don't immediately list Battle for Bikini Bottom as one of their favorite SpongeBob games, it's most likely going to be the movie game. Off the first one. I have to stress the first one because they did make a game based off the second movie. They called it SpongeBob Hero Pants. Apparently, it's very, absurdly short. I didn't hear good things about it. People said it was not very fun. And I looked up all the cutscenes. It's I think 2 to 5 minutes worth of cutscenes in the entire game. Not very fun. Not very interesting. And that's the problem with a lot of SpongeBob games, besides, Battle for Bikini Bottom and the movie game, is that most, after those two, like Truth or Square or Plankton's Robotic Revenge, a lot of those ones, or I think the third one they might mention, third and fourth would probably be Creature from the Krusty Krab, and the fourth one, this is just off the show, or loosely off the show, by the way, not the movies, but Creature from the Krusty Krab, or what was the other one? Flying Dutchman's Revenge, or Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, which I did have, and that one was just really fucking weird.
I just remembered one that I actually really, really do like, and I remember a lot of it. Monsters Inc. For PS1. Monsters Inc. What is it? Scream Team? Scream Team, I think.
That sounds about right.
I love that game.
What kind of game is it?
That game is so fun. It's it's like a platformer game.
Okay.
And you get to play as either Mike or Sully. It's always better playing as Mike, always.
How come?
Because you have this cool bounce move and you get to bounce around. I thought that was so cool, and you have a rolling kind of move and stuff like that. The enemies were really weird and sometimes just really annoying and tough to deal with, because they'd be little toy enemies that come up to you and just psh, psh, it's smack into you, and it'd be really scary kind of. And then it had different different worlds, I think. It kind of like hub areas, and then levels within that kind of hub. There was one that was kind of like a city, kind of like a suburban area, and then there was a desert one, and then there was a winter themed one. And I was the desert ones. The Oasis was my favorite. I love the music there, and I remember there's this little I think there's this little beach ball or something like that, and you just kind of you can kick it around, and it'll just kind of go and float throughout the water and stuff. But I don't know, just little details like that I really like. And then you would go throughout the levels, and there'd be these little robot kids called nerves, and you'd have to scare them by doing like little. I mean, it's not really quick time events. I don't want to say that. It's more like just pressing the corresponding button, and you'd collect it because all the nerves would be in different colors and stuff, and that'll it lets you know like, oh, you're at the right level to scare them and stuff like that. So you'd have to collect primordial ooze, and if you collected enough, that'll make like your level go up, and so like, oh, you're at the right level to scare this color of nerve. And I remember that stuff. See, that's the stuff I really do remember. That's stuck in my mind a lot.
I'm looking at gameplay of it, and it looks really interesting.
Yeah, I really like that one. I also had that also reminds me, I had a Bug's Life.
Yeah, me too.
Which I think has the best game over screen in the history of game over screens. So like, yeah. So although I never really got far in that game because I didn't really like the controls so much.
Yeah, they were a little weird. That's something I definitely remember. But
yeah, I do. Because that and Monsters Inc. were things I remember. I always liked how these licensed game had like they had like cutscenes from the movie and stuff like that. I always loved how they did that because at a time where like, you know, if you didn't have the movie like on DVD or something, like this was the only way you could see it, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of that, I know why you like the PS1, the Game Over from Bug's Life, because it's got Hopper in it.
Well, yeah, but no, I mean, that's true, but, like, the thing is, because of the line.
Here, shall we take a listen in person right now, live?
Yeah.
Have you been playing all summer? You think this is a game?
No, please.
Well, guess what? You just lost.
It's great! I mean, come on, what better line to use for a game over screen?
Than something actually in the movie.
Than something that's actually in the movie about something about losing a game. I mean, come on! It's perfect.
That is good.
It's perfect. I always love that.
That's really funny.
Well, this is a fun discussion.
Is there anything else you wanted to mention?
I'm trying to think of other games that I had. I'm glad I remember the Monsters Inc. one. I also remembered in that game there were races against Randall.
Oh,
and
people were racist against Randall?
Yeah, people were racist against him.
They said, no chameleons, lizards in my town. And then they threw him through the door. He got whacked on the head by the woman.
He got whacked on the head with a shovel. I always thought that was funny. I always thought that was so funny.
He changed colors every time he got hit.
It's a good thing to imagine. Like, imagine he did.
What if there was a game where you could play? What if one of these Monsters Inc. games you could play as Randall, and every time you got hit by an enemy, you'd change color?
I would love that.
So it's like Sparks, but like you change color.
I would love that so much. It's like Sparks, but he changed color. Like, ooh, you're playing as another purple lizard, haha.
This is probably going to sound really like people are going to yell at me for this unless you can think of one. But wasn't there a game called like Chameleon Twist or some kind of? Isn't there there's a platformer game where you play as a chameleon, right?
Yes, I saw Nitro Rad's videos on those.
I haven't even seen that because I kind of want to play those games. But I was going to say like, well, there should be a platformer game when you play as a chameleon and change colors and blend into your environment and stuff. So it's kind of like Sly Cooper, where it's like half stealth, half like, but the majority of it's platforming.
Right. I don't know if that was a mechanic to blend in. I'll have to watch those videos again, but I'm not sure if that was a mechanic. It was mostly about the tongue. Like it was like you use your tongue to like get places. As most people do.
I know you as a fox do that very often.
I too use my tongue to get places. Anyway, God, we've been going for almost an hour and a half.
Very long time. Very good discussion.
Yeah.
I think the moral of the story here is that if you want to do a good movie based off a game, you better do your darndest to follow the source material and make it very engaging, because you're taking the one thing away from this experience that would otherwise make it a great game to play, which is the actual interactivity, versus take that philosophy, plug it into a game based off a movie, take the scenes, make them fun to actually engage in, and play them out yourself. I think that's what makes it really fun for like SpongeBob or Monsters Inc. or I guess Harry Potter for some of you who remember those games better than we do.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about like Lego Star Wars or whatever. Like
I was going to say, because they, you know what? They do kind of do that. They follow the scenes.
Yeah, they do follow it. And like they you know, put a little their own spin on it because, it's Lego, but like, you know, it's kind of its own thing. It's really fun. I love Lego Star Wars. I think that's
fun.
Great.
Have you ever considered getting that Master Collection on the PS4 where it's like all the ones they've already done from, when they started off with the first ones, which were based off, I think, only the first 3 or 4, 5, and 6, and then
I might consider that because I just got Lego Harry Potter. I haven't really played a lot of it because it's just kind of a little tedious to get through. For some reason, Lego Star Wars wasn't.
I think there were 3 games that each are based off of certain movies. You play through episodes, and then they made one that was individually, like, it was solely based off of, I think it's The Force Awakens, and then
right.
I don't know if they did one for Last Jedi or anything like that. They might have, but I'm not sure. But the PS4 remastered collection or whatever pretties them up, and it's like all those games with all those movies, all the episodes and whatnot, all crammed into like one pack.
All right. Well, I think that'll be the end of it for this episode of SharePlay. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What is your favorite video game movie? What is your favorite game based on a movie?
Licensed game?
Favorite video game movie, your favorite licensed game, things like that. Leave them in the comments. And we'll have an even bigger discussion. Anyway.
Yeah, we could probably do a follow-up for any that we might have missed. That people were like, have you played this one? What are your thoughts on this one? That's what the audience sounds like.
Yeah, that's what Alright. Anyway, this has been Miharu.
And Mark.
And that's SharePlay. We'll see you later.
Bye. Get out. Go. Bye.